I'm reading the Barbri commercial outline. This is the contracts and sales section. I'm on page 104, section 8, remedies. We're talking about contract for the sale of good remedies. And we're in the buyer's damages section. Seller does not deliver or buyer rejects goods or revokes acceptance is the first section within buyer damages. The buyer's basic damages where the seller does not deliver or the buyer properly rejects or revokes her acceptance of tendered goods consists of the difference between the contract price and either the market price or the cost of buying replacement goods, which is called cover. Thus, plus incidental and consequential damages, see above, if any, less expenses as a result of the seller's breach in the case of a seller's anticipatory repudiation. The buyer's damages are measured as of the time she learns of the breach. So, again, we're talking about either the market price or the cost of buying replacement goods, plus incidental and consequential damages, minus expense saved as a result of the seller's breach. This is a really basic formula, and I'm not writing it out right now, but think about it. Either the market price or the cost of buying your cover, plus your incidental and consequential damages, and minus any expenses, this is the hard part, you saved as a result of the seller's breach. Say the seller does not deliver your goods, well, you saved the cost of marketing them. And you're going to reduce that from the market price plus the incidental and consequential damages in order to reach the damages that we are anticipating the court to provide you. The difference between the contract price and the market price is an important aspect of this formula. If the buyer measures damages by the difference between the contract price and the market price usually is determined as of the time the buyer learns of the breach and at the place of tender. Now this is found within UCC 2-713. Note that the buyer's damages are measured as of the time she learns of the breach, while the seller's damages are measured as of the time for delivery. Difference between contract price and cost of replacement goods. Cover. Cover is the usual measure of damages for a buyer. Typically, if a buyer is not sent the goods contracted for, he will go out on the marketplace to buy replacement goods. If the buyer chooses the cover measure, for example, difference between the contract price and the cost of buying replacement goods, the buyer must make a reasonable contract for substitute goods in good faith and without unreasonable delay. For example, seller and buyer have a contract for the sale of 10,000 widgets at $1 per widget. Seller does not deliver. At the time and place for determining market price, the average price of widgets is $1.05. However, buyer made a replacement contract within a reasonable time and in good faith at a price of $1.07. Buyer can recover $700 based on her replacement costs. If, on the other hand, buyer could have bought substitute widgets for $1.03 while the general market price was $1.05, but she chose not to cover, she could recover $500 based on the difference between contracts and market prices rather than being limited to her cover costs. So that's it in a nutshell. For the buyer damages when the seller does not deliver or buyer rejects goods or revokes acceptance. Now we're given the example when the seller delivers non-conforming goods that the buyer accepts, and you have A, warranty damages, and B, there is a notice requirement. So for warranty damages, if the buyer accepts goods that breach one of the seller's warranties, the buyer may recover as damages loss resulting in the normal course of events from the breach. The basic measure of damages in such a case is the difference between the value of the goods as delivered and the value they would have had if they had been according to contract, plus incidental and consequential damages. So, thinking about this as a equation again, the basic measure of damages in such a case where you're talking about warranty damages and the buyer had accepted non-conforming goods, we have the value of the goods as delivered and the value they would have had if they had been according to contract. So that's your warranty damage amount. That's logical. And you add your incidental and your consequential damages. And this time, you don't have to subtract anything because you have goods. This is in UCC 2-714. Notice requirement. To recover damages for any defect as to accepted goods, the buyer must, within a reasonable time after she discovers or should have discovered the defect, notify the seller of the defect. If she does not notify the seller within a reasonable time, she loses her right to sue. Reasonable time is, of course, a flexible standard. Now, third under buyer damages is the seller anticipatorily breaches the contract. This is your third hypothetical under buyer damages. Under section 2-713, the measure of the damages when the seller anticipatorily breaches the contract is the difference between the market price at the time the buyer learned of the breach and the contract price. That's kind of simple. The market price at the time the buyer learned of the breach and the contract price.